Well, good evening. I am happy to be here in spite of the snow. Didn't have to travel very far, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Lower Makefield Harb to order at 7:20 on December, is this the 19th, Jim?
It's 7:40.
17th, December 17th.
And it's 7:40.
It's 7:40, sorry. Okay, thanks for straightening me out. Let us find out who is here. Just announce your names for the record, since we don't have a sign-in sheet. So Stephen Hines, Chair.
Jennifer Stark, Board Member.
Kathleen Weber, Board Member.
Luba Laschuk, Board Member. Voice only. Sorry.
And we're still waiting for Jeff Herco, who will be joining us when he can. Jim Majewski.
Yep, Jim Majewski, Director of Planning and Zoning for Lower Makefield Township.
Okay, so we have been asked to approve the meeting minutes from September 14th, and I had not seen them until just a brief while ago, and I don't feel that I'm in any position to say that I would approve them. So I'll ask the board if we can entertain a motion to table these meeting minutes until the next meeting, and we'll do the one for July as well, because that was actually one of the items on the last meeting that we didn't finish. So, and a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion to review the July and September 2020 meeting minutes to the next meeting for discussion.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. So we can move along if as Alex will call our first presenter in. I believe it's for 696 Stony Hill Road for the Rite Aid. And then he also will be doing item 4, which is 657 Haycock Road. And I imagine we'll do them consecutively. So, Alex?
I just moved him in.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You want to introduce yourself and who you're representing and proceed with your presentation.
Sure. My name is Mike Horvath. I'm representing SEMA Network, and we are representing Rite Aid Pharmacy. We are the sign company that is branding over 400 locations in the Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey areas. And we come before you today with a couple applications, and I can certainly talk about each one of them. I don't know if you guys share your screen and put the, okay, great. If you can put the drawings up, I can, go through everything, from there.
Tim, you'll handle that for us, please?
Yeah, it'll just take a second.
Great.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Mike, take it away.
Okay, great. If you don't mind moving to page, maybe page 3, I believe, 3 or 4. This is the Rite Aid, an existing Rite Aid pharmacy. If you don't mind, the next page. There you go. Okay, this is an existing Rite Aid pharmacy. So what we're proposing to do is remove the existing non-illuminated letters, and they are 43 square feet approximately. We are proposing a new non-illuminated sign that is 60 square feet. Rite Aid is undergoing a new branding change, so that's one of the reasons why we come before you folks today.
You also have changes in the background and the other colors.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, what we'd like to do, we'd like to refresh the location. I'm sorry about that. So we'd like to paint, the background, that ivory type color. I think it's proposed on there what color that is somewhere in the application, but it's a neutral color. So that's in addition to the new sign.
Can you clarify that with the material as well?
The material of the sign?
The material of the background.
Oh, I believe it's a vertical, might be a wood vertical siding.
So you're just painting.
We are just painting it. That's correct. Yeah, our designer didn't he didn't put in the lines to show the vertical, but yes, we're just painting that background.
Oh, it would still retain that wood-like look.
Yes, that is correct.
Different color.
That is correct. We are not resurfacing or overlaying it with any materials. It's just a new paint job.
So if any of the board members have some questions or comments on what's been proposed, then please just proceed.
Yeah, I think if you continue a couple more pages down, it'll show some details in there. Okay, there's the paint. So it's a Dorian gray background. And it also looks like we're repainting the columns in the background, which is either a Dorian gray or a March wind, which is a very neutral color, as you can see. You can continue down and show the detail of the sign. There you go. There's the sizes of the sign. And if you scroll down one more, I believe it has a detail on what the letters are made of. Okay, they are 1/4-inch flat cut letters, whether it might be an aluminum or an acrylic. And what we would do is we would paint those letters, that material. So it would be only a 1/4-inch thick. And it would be flush mounted to the new painted wall.
I don't know if anybody's had a chance to see this new campaign up on a building, but I have.
I saw it on Lincoln Highway. I saw the new, I think it was Lincoln Highway, one of the locations. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's it for this one. I don't think there's any other. If you want to scroll towards the end, we could just double check to make sure that's it. That's page 8. So that's the whole application.
I think on the other application, there was a cross section of how they were.
Yes, that's correct. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Luba, do you have any input here?
No, they will look great. It's a big improvement.
Thank you.
I like the new paint colors as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll look nice and fresh.
Yes, thank you very much.
And nice design, the new logo.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry Jeff isn't here to have a look, but hopefully he'll show up eventually and catch up. In the meantime, without any further discussion from the board that was proposed, do we have any input from any viewers, remote viewers, the public? Alex? Has anybody called in?
No, nobody's called in on this. Jeff is also coming in right now.
Okay. Hopefully, well, let's wait till he gets here, and then he can always abstain from the vote if he decides he doesn't have enough information.
I'm here, Steve.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Glad you could make it. Did you have a chance to review the information that Jim sent around in advance on the location right next to the Giant of, I guess that's Stony Hill Road location of the new signage for Rite Aid?
I did.
Okay. Did you have any comments?
No, I'm okay with it.
All right. So we've had a motion and a second to the motion that it be accepted as and approved as presented. So without further ado, I'll call the question, and all in favor of the approving this as appropriate, architecturally appropriate, signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
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 Hand disappeared.
Thank you. So that motion passes. If then, Mike, you can proceed, we will take a look at, I guess it's the location next to McCaffrey's Shopping Center.
Yes, I believe
McCaffrey's
so.
Market.
Yes.
Okay. Jim, thank you. You're way ahead of us.
Okay, on this this one is it kind of follows the same. It's similar application as the one we just viewed. We can go to the elevation, which is the next page. I'm sorry, maybe it's the next page after that. Okay, there you go. So we are, again, removing the existing Rite Aid sign. I believe that's non-illuminated as well. This location does have vertical wooden siding. So we are proposing to paint the siding and refresh the colors and put up a new set of Rite Aid non-illuminated letters, very similar to the ones we just viewed on the previous application.
Okay, Mike, I'd just like to, for clarification purposes for you and the members, is to remind everybody that this was dealt with in terms of the siding about 2, maybe 3 years ago. And the siding that's currently installed is an aluminum siding.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure what that does in terms of painting. I certainly wonder if it might cause some maybe reevaluation.
Well, yeah, it can be painted. Aluminum is, oh, I'm sorry. Is that a little static? Aluminum can be painted pretty much as easy as wood can.
Fair enough. Does the board have any consideration or concerns about the fact that this is about the same color scheme right around the corner from the previous one, and it doesn't make too much difference, I think, in terms of the shopper who's going to each one, but in terms of the overall look of the shopping center? Any thoughts, members of the board? You want to chime in?
My only concern, Steve, is I've seen that paint for aluminum siding used several times, and even if it's prepared properly, it tends to start flaking off in about a year. So, just keep in mind what that can look like down the road in a year.
I believe that was my concern as well. Luba, anything? Jennifer? Kathy?
I've seen aluminum siding painted successfully and it lasts. It's just a matter of prepping it properly. So, Mike, you got the proper people that.
Yeah, we have professional painters that come out that that paint every day, and they will be the ones that they understand. They also have to do a good job. It's a Rite Aid location. They're contractors and vendors that have been with Rite Aid for quite some time, as well as our company. So we certainly don't want to do anything that's going to be flaking off in a year. So the prep is the most important thing, and it will be prepped properly.
Yeah, it also might be a different type of paint too. I mean,
It is. I mean, there's a lot of paints that are really made for, aluminums, and these guys will make sure, as well as our company will make sure they use the right paint.
Right.
I'm assuming that on the Stony Hill Road location, the finish on it is going to be kind of eggshell or something.
Probably a matte finish. Definitely do not want to go with any glossy paints. Not even a semi-gloss. Yeah. It might be a matte, or it might be, maybe a semi-gloss, but nothing glossy. It'll show a lot of imperfections. It cleans a little bit easier when it rains, but it does show a lot of imperfections with gloss paints.
Okay, Jim, could you move down the page, maybe the detail page, and
yes, sir.
Look, I think there's on the bottom of that page, a section showing how that's mounted. That kind of monolithic background that you're kind of going into could easily be wood, but I think in terms of the aluminum, you might be looking at a different kind of attachment.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm sorry, Steve. The designers probably sometimes grab these sections for a lot of different things. So my apologies for that. But we will, if it's an aluminum siding and there's if we can push the letter through, they'll have studs on them. What we'll do is we'll put a fender washer or something on the back side, and we'll put a nut on it so we can get up inside there and make sure that they're secure. But they will be stud mounted. They're very light. They're only a PVC, and they get painted, but they do have studs on them, and they will be stud mounted.
Okay, I guess that was more my question. The fact that the aluminum is a board and batten finish, there's going to be gaps and gullies in back of this, so there's going to be a shadow line consideration. This is on the east side. Okay. So I just...
Yeah, no, I mean, it's
everyone to be aware of the impact.
What we would do is probably go out and survey the location, determine where all those voids are, and make sure we strategically place the studs where we're not hitting any of those voids. And we won't overdo the studs as well. In a letter like this, you can also add a little bit of adhesive on the back, a little silicone, so, that helps, hold it on there as well.
No problem. Okay, well, if the board doesn't have any further concerns or items that they'd like to bring up on this, we can vote on the visual effect and the historic implications of that. And, that's pretty much our goal, is to deal with those aspects of it. So we can entertain a motion and proceed with any further discussion after the motion's been made. Members?
I'll make a motion to accept the sign as presented for 657 Heacock Road.
Seconds?
I second.
Okay, Kathleen, thank you.
Jennifer.
Sorry, I'm having, are you guys getting all that background?
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time even hearing. I have like a buzz. It's like static. Is anybody getting that?
A little bit, but not a lot. I'm
Oh,
okay.
mine's
with
really
that.
loud. I can barely hear.
Well, if each of us turns off our receiver one at a time, we might locate it. And we can basically leave off the, mute it in the meantime, unless we had something to say, and hopefully that will cut down on that. So we have a motion and a second. Is that everybody can hear? And if with no further discussion from the public, Alex?
There's no public comment.
Okay. So call the question. All in favor of approving this? It's historically appropriate for the 657 Haycock Road, Rite Aid. You signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. So I believe the next step for you, Mike, is to make a presentation to the supervisors at a meeting, and they'll have our approval on record, and they might ask you further questions. But in the meantime, I would suggest that you make sure that we've got the concerns that I have anyway, and I think Jennifer mentioned as well, that these things are all things considered about the mounting and the impact that might have on the signs. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we can move along if you have no further questions for us.
No, I mean, I appreciate your time today tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. So we can move along to item 5. Or 4. Yeah, 3, 4, 5. It would be 5, even though it's marked 4 on our agenda. 1700 Yardley Langhorne Road. And I believe we have a different presenter for that. Alex, you asked him to come in?
Yes, he's joining the room now.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Lower Makefield. And we ask you to identify yourself and who you represent, and then you can proceed with your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. My name is Richard Van Horn. I'm representing Dogwood Skate Shop and my family over at the property 1700 at Yardley Langhorne Road.
Would you like me to call up the graphics so that you could run through and describe what you want to do?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, here, this is our existing store right now that we will be moving from Langhorne Borough. Very small town, really family, small vibe shop, small business. Those signs, there's 2 of them there. We plan on keeping the same paint. It's a burgundy and a white. And you have 2 different sizes. You have the one that's flat faced on the building is 102 by 24. And the corner hanging one is 31 by 40. Did you get all that?
Sure. Jim, do you have location? Oh, there. This wasn't marked on our information that we got so far. But so you're saying that elongated sign would go attached to the porch railing?
Yes, we professionally mount that, pre-drilled, and we would use just regular nuts and bolts to hold that with Loctite bolts on it. And that would be mounted centered in that area. And then the other one would be on the right-hand side of the building right there as that.
Is that extending toward the street? Is that the proposal?
Yes, that stands out towards the street. So when you're coming, whether that is north or south or east or west, you'll be seeing it from both ways.
Jim, could you scroll down? I think there's an image below that of the full facade, like the full street frontage of the building.
I do have another graphic.
There you go. That's what I want to see.
Better, thank you.
So the longer sign would go
Alice.
rail
Yeah.
location in front of the mailbox, and the other sign would be mounted on the right side of the building on this post. Correct?
That is correct, sir.
I have a quick question. Are you reusing the sign you currently have?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they're still in great condition.
All right, that's what I thought you were trying to do. Okay.
Okay, you're just appearing for the sign tonight, but have you given any consideration to ramp access for handicap accessibility?
There absolutely is consideration for that. So my customers will be parking on the right-hand side of the home/business. They'll be parking right here, right over in there behind those bushes. There's already some gravel there now. And there will be, I would like to put a handicap ramp that comes either, I have to talk to you guys about that. I don't know if I'd have to remove those spindles there on the right-hand side, or we're going to have enough space between the road and the house to put in a handicap ramp to come in on the original front porch steps there on the corner. We'd have to measure out and really figure, but I absolutely, it means a lot to me to have a handicap accessible ramp, and thank you for bringing that up.
I guess, Jim, you might have to give us some thoughts on this, but it would sound to me like that might be a separate application and a separate presentation before us.
Yes.
Okay. So this is so that you will be aware that you'll have to come back.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, I figured that for sure.
Okay.
Is that something that I will have to have done before I open business there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not part of our purview except for the aesthetics of it, but per building code, yeah, you'll have to be accessible.
Sorry. Does any of the board members have any suggestions or considerations about where to locate that ramp so as not to detract from the historic impact of the front of that facade?
Well, we've got design guidelines that give some help about that. Steve, do you have those?
I do. I would want to make them available to the applicant, but also if we at this point see any kind of moves that he could make, suggestions that would be perhaps helpful. Luba, any thoughts?
Well, I am not sure about the floor plan. How does the store works inside? Is this going to only have an access from the front entrance, or is the store going to have an access from the back? That would be sort of a factor if the ramp could be designed through the back. But I have no idea what's the circulation.
The
reason I bring it up is the idea of having a ramp that drops off, let's say, in place of the steps or next to the steps with some kind of access. That's if the railing stays, the railing that's perpendicular to the house, if that stays in place, then it would be wrapping around, and the hanging sign might be in the way of the clearances for that. So that's why I'm bringing it up. It might have some kind of effect on the placement of the sign.
Yes. If he was to wrap around, I see how it might be kind of right there hitting. You might hit the corner a little bit, maybe, if that's the case. Or I'd have to widen the ramp a little bit to come around, not so close from.
Or I think you'd have the ramp favor the side of the house and then come in break through that railing system, and you'd be shy.
Yeah, we'll change the railing and look at the porch.
Yeah. Maybe have a switchback railing. That might be a little bit much for trying to get one direction. Go toward the back and then toward the front and have a landing.
I think we should give him an opportunity to read the design guidelines. It gives him some information. Basically, we try to avoid impacts to the front facade of the house. Anything from the pedestrian.
You don't want it to impact the facade in any way. That porch is historic.
Who's speaking?
That's unfortunately Professor Hines is in the background here.
You've got to have public comment when public comment is asked for.
Right. Please, Helen.
So I think that we just need to get a little bit educated about some of the guidelines that we've got and best practices, and I think you'll be fine. It's just a little bit of a process.
Yeah, you can hear me well, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Another thought too, just to bring it up really quick, I can easily come in from the left-hand side, all the way on the left-hand side of the porch for just handicap. We can absolutely do that, and we wouldn't be disturbing any railing or anything, and the handicap people would be accessed right there where the cursor is, right through that lattice will be removed on the very end there. And not in the front, but on the side there by that red shutter. They'll come right up there they'll be ramped up across the front porch into the business safely.
Yep.
And to give you an idea, the business will be all on the first floor there, and I'll be there with my family upstairs.
Okay. I also ask you to think about what impact your elongated sign is going to have on the railing, which in itself is an architectural feature. And, to put it on a lattice work actually might be a little more appropriate because that has a kind of a more homogeneous or kind of as a background, instead of attaching it to the railing, which is a pretty nice railing by itself. And I think it's wood.
The railing, it's not that the railing is nice more than the fact that once you put a sign on that whole railing, it changes the entire look of the building because it basically turns it into a solid baluster with solid wall kind of a look. And the lattice is not an historic element. So I was thinking if we could put your sign, a new sign, because your long one's not going to fit there, on the lattice as the backer, then you would achieve the point of having a sign on the face of the building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also the height would be more appropriate, more visible.
Yeah.
On the house?
On the lattice work and that.
On the lattice.
Yeah.
On the lattice.
Right.
What would you suggest? Because that sign is definitely longer than that lattice right there.
I know. What we're suggesting is that you really can't repurpose the long sign you've got.
I just had a thought. Could the sign possibly go underneath the eaves and hang down from up above in that area?
Like a hanger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I can make that happen.
It depends if you have anybody passing underneath it. I don't know what the headroom is there.
There'll be nothing there. There's no it won't come out as far as those steps. Where I would just be using that's my personal home door anyways, that right there. All the customers will be using the far door. Regular customers, non-handicap, will be using that far right-hand door. And then even the handicap will be ramped all the way to that door.
And I think maybe having it up high underneath the eaves might also give you an opportunity to put some elongated lighting that shines down on the sign from that point, and give yourself a little nighttime visibility that you might not otherwise have.
Yeah, I would love that.
In the current dimensions of the sign that you already have, the long one, do we have any idea how long that space is near the lattice? The width, I should say.
I don't know it exactly. I'm going to say it's really close, but I'll get on top of it and get a measurement right away.
Well, unfortunately, you might have to, take a look at all of these impacts that we've been talking about, and hopefully making reasonable suggestions for you that you might want to do a more complete presentation that actually photoshops this onto elevations. So instead of just a vague outline on the face of the railing, as you showed today, it might be a little more exact and have a little more information for us to make a decision on. Are you under any time constraints?
No, sir. I plan on hoping to be living there and up and running as of like April 1st, if all goes well. There's not really any rush, any demand, but that would be great. But I can most certainly get that, all together and represent it. Yeah.
You know what, Steve, he's got the luxury of actually doing a mock-up because he has the signs and he's got the building. So just put up the signs the way you're proposing. We call that a mock-up, and take some pictures of it.
Okay. Okay. You don't want me, you want me to actually mount them up and take some photos, or do you want me to just Photoshop that?
Well, you could do either, but I'm suggesting that if you really want to see what it could be like, you could take your sign and see if it truly fits and how you would hang it. And then you would actually understand what it would truly look like.
Yes, true. This is true. Okay. I can work on that. Yeah, absolutely.
And in the meantime, you can think about how you want to do this handicap ramp, and maybe you can make it all into one presentation. We can get it all out of the way, and you can proceed and be ready to open in your time frame if you present it, in the January meeting. Jeff, I haven't heard from you. Do you want to chime in here with any thoughts?
I like the idea of the handicap ramp coming off the end of the porch, going down alongside of the home.
Mm-hmm. Jim, can you send the link to the design guidelines to him so that he's got those?
Yes, and I'll also hand deliver an actual physical copy too. I can drop it off. Are you at the house yet, or?
No, I've just been in and out working, putting new floors in and all that. But I'm there daily getting the mail. So feel free to put it in the door or in the mailbox, whatever's it's up to you.
Fair enough. So maybe you can just agree to return, and we'll hold this discussion in abeyance until you make further presentations before we make a decision. I don't think we need a formal table motion, but this is a reasonable point to break for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, this is fine. I just head in the right direction. I really appreciate bringing up the handicap ramp. That's very important to me. Also, if you have one quick moment, I wanted to ask about, I do have some information guidelines on the doors, doing doors on a historical home like this. These doors are, you can imagine, are very old. I want to keep them the look the same. I want to keep the size the same, but for security of my family and the business, I do need to replace them if possible.
Well, one of the things that has in the design guidelines, the application of auxiliary functioning storm doors or similar kind of thing that doesn't get in the way of the visual effect of the doors. And if you did that with plexiglass infill, you should probably have a more significant amount of security. So if any of the other members have other suggestions, but that's one that has been readily acceptable. Storm doors and windows are always, kind of like the traditional add-on.
Are the doors themselves beyond repair? Is that the problem?
No, it's the storm doors I could absolutely restore and fix the hinges a little bit and make those work. I would like to use the storm doors. You wouldn't be able to, keep the exact same look, but it's the main door behind that and frame that are just so old, and the glass is very easy access to break and just reach around. And I'm looking for a safer for my family and security for break-in if anyone was to ever, God forbid. But they're just very old doors, very easily to take out.
Yeah, that's the reason I was suggesting a plexiglass or maybe even a composite infill and make it a full glass storm door configuration, so that you really have the view of the interior or the exterior door that's historic.
Yes, yeah, we could absolutely keep those exterior doors for sure. Yeah, we won't change them really at all.
I think you're asking if you can replace the other door. Is that it?
Yeah. Steve, you got to remember, he's got to have an accessible entry, and having a storm door on accessible entry, I've never seen that done.
Okay, you could put that into your considerations. I agree with Jennifer that for the accessible entry for your shop, that would be a concern. Jim?
Accessible entry will be needed, and one other thing to keep in mind is the idea of the lighting of the sign. Similar to what's done across the street, you might want to consider options for that, so you can present that to the harm.
Okay, I missed that. I think it blanked out there for a minute. I missed the beginning of that, but you were talking about the lights.
Oh yeah, the lighting of the sign. That's something that you may want to just have prepared.
Absolutely.
I think Richard suggested across the street there are all different options from the store owners there. I don't know.
Okay. Scope. Yeah, I can check them out for some examples for doors for sure. But those doors don't have any storm doors. So if I did those kind of doors, is that going to be missed if I get rid of those storm doors?
You might have to take that up with an architect to come up with an appropriate resolution for that. If you keep your historic door open during business hours, and just use the exterior door as the access to the space, it would be an outswinging door, which would be appropriate for as long as you had the floor levels appropriately adjusted, etc. Then you can roll out onto that landing that would be on the porch, I guess. So yeah, it's has a lot of implications that you probably will have to have looked at by a professional.
Okay.
So any further comments or any directions where we can help Richard with his project?
So I'm listening to all this. So does he have like kind of a punch list that before he comes back? it's the picture of the sign that he has in Langhorne and how it's going to look near the lattice work. And then what else? Options for a door?
It'll be in our minutes. So why don't we just send a set of the minutes along to him, and all the items that we've talked about, he can add to his consideration. Jim, do you have any other way to handle it? I would think, other than going through the design guidelines, as Jennifer suggested, and following the IBC, you should be able to come up with them, because it has to be adjusted for commercial use anyway.
Yeah, the meeting is now available for replay on Facebook and YouTube. So he can go and take a look at that, and we can work through that.
Thank you.
Great.
And I'd like to say thank you for everyone's help during this whole process.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
for
Good
coming
luck.
in.
We're excited for your shop and your idea to live in the village. It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Forward to it. And I really appreciate
Exciting.
all the emails and communication.
And
Thank
just
you,
a general
Richard.
question.
Oh, another question.
Just a general question about the name. Do you have, what was the origin of that name, the Dogwood Skate?
Okay,
And then
so-
you have the representation with the little dogwood flowers there. I'm
Yes,
just curious.
It comes from the dogwood tree, which is Bucks County's original tree.
Right.
It's a great flower. We use it in many graphics on the boards, on shirts. It goes very well. So we've taken that graphic in and that name, and it was one of the hardest things to find a name for the store, but that it's been going very well.
So what's exactly the business?
We are a skateboarding store. We will be, if you know anything about Vans skate shoes, we will be, skateboards and Vans skate shoes and some apparel, and that's it.
Okay.
All right, Luba, get ready.
Exactly. on one of those chairs.
The kids in town are going to love it.
Okay, so maybe we can move along to the next item on our list of things to consider tonight. And we thank you for your
Thanks, Richard.
participation and showing up and making a great presentation for us.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
So, Alex, we have Mr. Troilo.
Hello.
Oh, there.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello, all. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and
Thank
happy
you.
holidays.
Yes. Welcome. Glad to have you back and talk again about big plans, I guess. So you have presented us with a graphic. Maybe Jim wants to put it up, and you can explain a little bit of your idea, and I'm sure the members will have something to say in reaction to that.
Okay, so we actually have a couple things to show you tonight. The first being the Edgewood Point. And after our last discussion, we've kicked around some ideas. And as you can see, this is drawing number 6. And just to be clear, none of the engineering has been done. None of the code has been checked. This is just a conceptual idea. It's just a drawing to get the feelings of the board, as it were. So what we would be proposing in this is to keep both of the buildings, rehab the Point building into the ice cream store we discussed earlier, rehab the Quill House, which is currently a duplex, into a new duplex, as it were, but rehabbing it, and then building two more buildings with 6 apartments in each, obviously following the historic guidelines and all that. They're just thrown on there for space and site situation. We'd be proposing some sheds for the tenants to use to put their bikes in and things like that. Maybe some decks out the back, some green area for grilling, things like that. And then it comes up with 22 parking spaces. We looked at it orientating buildings along Yardley Langhorne Road at one of the earlier versions, but with the existing Quill House where it's located, the parking we couldn't get as many parking spaces. That's kind of why it's orientated the way it is. So it's just the latest idea in a slew of many ideas. So we're just looking for the board's input about the general feeling and layout and see what take the temperature of the board.
All right, let me ask Luba first to maybe wade in on this, since her proposal to kind of take a different kind of view of what's going on here. And so you're the impetus. Maybe you'd like to be the first to kind of respond to.
Okay. Yeah, well, first, I really appreciate Mr. Troilo keeping both buildings and restoring them. You know, that's a great first step. Of course, I see that, the proposal about rerouting Edgewood is kind of really too ambitious. So maybe that will not work. I don't know how the township, if the township proceeded at that time doing any kind of research on it. But if not, just going back not to this design, but to that point intersection, that really should be addressed at some point because it's still very dangerous. Now with your proposal, it looks a little bit too dense to have, 12 units in addition to the existing buildings. I think it's possible, but and I understand what you were explaining about the parking area that with the location of the existing buildings is difficult to provide the necessary spots if you have all those units. But if you have less units, perhaps you still can orient them that they would follow the street to provide that visual village streetscape, and making this new structure as part of an infill between the two existing ones. Maybe you won't have as many, but it would still create something that would resemble a traditional village from the pedestrian point of view and the driving point of view, where the new buildings would be facing one of the roads. Like right now, the way these are shown, they they're sort of like lost there on their own. But I think it's a great first step in the right direction. It might need a little bit more work and perhaps less density.
Okay, feel free to chime in, members.
I was thinking about streetscape as well, and I'm sure since this is diagram, did you already explore streetscape either on either of the other two perimeters?
We looked at it more along Yardley Langhorne.
Yeah.
We didn't really look at it on Edgewood just because there's not as much space there. But obviously, if the prevailing view is that we need to look at the streetscape aspect again. We can certainly go back and take a look at that again.
I think that you probably have the count is based on your ROI, and I understand that. But maybe it's two clusters, one on Yardley Langhorne and one in between the two existing houses.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly that.
Okay, I mean, that's something we can certainly take a look at. That's why we're here, is to get an idea of what you would be more inclined to, approve or view favorably.
Yeah, CC, I would be inclined to agree that having a progress into the village, and this is one of the first points of density that might be established, and to have these houses oriented into the depth of the site instead of along the road would leave it as, okay, there's a building and then there's a bunch of parking. And even though, you can make that parking pretty nice by trees, etc., it would certainly be more of a village atmosphere if buildings occupied the streetscape, and you can deal with that streetscape as a continuum that extends into including the De Lorenzo's and the other occupancies that you've already established along the road. So that would be my input, that you might want to start to take a look at the impact on the village that this development of this space is going to have.
Yeah, I can certainly understand your point there.
Jennifer, when you were talking about breaking up the clusters, can you explain that?
Oh, well, Luba mentioned putting infill between the two existing houses, so that would be one cluster.
Okay.
And then the other would be along Yardley Langhorne, whichever portion of the site makes sense. And then you would have parking pockets, possibly with green space in between, or I don't know, they're efficient, but it's a way to get him all of the units he's looking for, give us some streetscape on both frontages, and populate the site.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, I understand what you're going for.
This would be phenomenal if you could pull it off.
Yes. yes.
Jeff, you have any input here? Okay, I guess we could kind of wrap this up. Hopefully, the record of our discussions will give you a little bit of insight into where we think you can make some adjustments. And the fact that we are thrilled by your willingness to preserve these houses that are there, and certainly the anchor for this corner of the village. So thank you for that. And hopefully you can come up with something that will be close to what you need in terms of units for rental. And we will certainly work with you in any kind of application you might need to accommodate the parking concerns. So with that, unless there's further discussion on this, anybody? Why don't we move along to the other, the Biles Corner?
Yeah, this actually was not on the agenda, so this is under other business.
Okay.
Petriello had submitted to me some ideas for the house at the corner of Stony Hill Road and Langhorne Yardley Road, the Biles Corner House across the street from Edgewood Cafe, and I'll call up some of the plans for what he has.
can you also have that Google Map view is available as well for reference if we need it? Thank you.
Yes. Well, first I can bring up what the house looks like right now, if everyone would like that.
Sounds good.
Actually, that's not the house. Sorry.
No, that's the next one.
Well,
Can you see that?
that's all.
No, that's still the other house, Jim.
No, I think this is the one at Stony Hill Road and Langhorne Yardley.
No.
The one I see is
No, not with the
next
that's
house over.
Okay, let me stop my share and try it again here. Sorry.
There you go.
Okay. So Stony Hill Road is in front of the picture. Langhorne Yardley is on the left side where the car is shown. And where are you looking to add on to the building?
It's basically the back side.
Okay.
On the south side of the house then?
That's actually, I believe, the west side between that house and the other house that Jim was showing.
Okay, the west side of the house.
Yes, it'd be on this side, coming out into that vacant area there.
So when you see the new renderings pop up, everybody orient yourself by that front porch. That'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's Langhorne Yardley. And Stony Hill is over here. So it'd be in this big area in here.
Traffic control.
So just to give you a little history and whoever's watching, so this house is part of the Flowers Field development, and on the site plans, it's shown as a restaurant with a 5,000 square foot addition on it and an outside patio area jutting out into this space and the space behind it. What our concept is to actually build a restaurant there. We don't run restaurants, so we would just develop the restaurant in partnership with someone who knows what they're doing in the restaurant field. We would like to add an addition onto this building, keep this building, most of it, the lower, the one-story section there would have to be reconfigured, but keeping the rest of this building, all the stone structure, 2 stories, the porches and all that business. So it's pretty much a new building added on to it, where the new dining area would be cathedral ceiling. The heights are very similar to this building, keeping the size and the proportions. And then there's an outside area kind of done in a rubble wall, stone wall around it, outside bar area that we stylized to look like a blacksmith shop, and an outside bathroom that kind of looks like a cold house with outside seating. So we're just in the early days. Again, no engineering's been done, no tallies for seating or anything like that. It's just basically a direction we're heading, and we wanted to show it to the board early on so we could get some feedback.
Okay, Jim, if you can get that graphic. There it is. I was going to ask you to put that one up. Thank you. I think
This is the porch that Jennifer mentioned.
Right. Okay.
Very pretty.
So what you're doing is extending by about the same width as the existing frontage of the house, maybe a few feet shorter, to the left as you're facing that front porch. Is that?
That is correct.
What the plan is?
Yep.
What would the old part be used for?
The part where the porch is that we see would be inside there. There's small rooms. There may be 10 by 12. There would be like private dining rooms or like meeting rooms or small intimate seating rooms. And then the part predominantly facing Stony Hill Road would be the kitchens.
Okay.
The addition that you see there is projected to be a cathedral ceiling open all the way to the top, would be a bar seating area and the bathrooms and that. So the retail or front of the house would be in the new section, plus that section in the next to the porch, and then the rest of the old building would be kitchens, storage, office, things like that.
Okay. It's a nice design.
TC, I would think that maybe the entire first floor level should be continuous with the existing first floor level, which would be at the porch height. So that whole thing could be raised with a raised patio outside on the, I guess that would be the west side. So that you can get up to that level and then migrate around and kind of differentiate it from the grade elevation using the stone in there, and concentrate on maybe doing vertical wood siding or something like that, and I did see some details that rendering type of graphics that you had that showed kind of partial debridement of the stucco away from the stone, and kind of I imagine in a way of creating some kind of historicity to show stone and stucco on the same elevation. Am I reading that wrong?
No, that's what's shown on the drawing, but we haven't really gotten to the fit and finishes yet. Whether there'd be a mixture of clapboard and stone, or whether we would strip the stucco from the original building and make that all stone and make this one stucco. We haven't even gotten that far yet.
Well, I might mention that the reason for stucco in most old stone houses was to protect the stonework from deterioration, and the stucco was really a rain shield. And the reason they've held up so long is because that's a pretty effective rain shield, and to take it away and rely on pointing, especially cement pointing that would be a lot different from the mortar that was used historically, would be perhaps a disservice to the structure. Any of the other members want to comment on that point?
No, that's accurate, Steve. I think that having a stone structure next to a stucco structure would be perfectly great. And then you don't have to do the artifice on this building and on the other one.
Yeah, like I said, that we'd be fine with that. We're not even asking about any of that yet. That's just something that the architect threw in there because we put stone in the patio outside, and he thought it was good. And Steve, your point about raising the new addition, one of our thoughts was actually lowering the floors inside the old addition. So we wouldn't have to worry so much about ADA, outside access, and things like that. Kind of keeping the illusion of the old building floor heights, what you see, but when you actually went into it,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be that way.
Certainly a technique of handling it, maybe even splitting the difference to get a little bit more ceiling height, but to allow for some differentiation from street level, and because that's one of the things that they would have looked for in the village, certainly across the street as well. There's that a little bit of an elevation to put it up on a PLT to have a differentiation of ground planes. So that's the reason I'm bringing it up now. Just still in the concept stage. It might be a good idea to kind of have as much input as you can. I think the idea of a barn type of sheltered area in back as a kind of an open air, given COVID these days, I guess that's on everybody's mind. But having something that has the framing that looks like the barn is actually quite pleasant to look at.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, right in this day and age, it's things like that you have to consider.
Yeah. Jeff, anybody else have some
Jim, there's
further input?
There's one other view he provided. I think it's that one. Yeah.
Wow. I love this.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this project.
Yeah.
I think it's really great. I love the way you have this whole big restaurant that is sort of pieced in smaller areas that they're in perfect scale with the proportions of the village. Is great, and also that little vista there with the big stone retaining wall. It's so charming. It's like an effect of an old ruins, and then you have this restore little dwellings around. I really think it's wonderful. I'm very happy that you are proceeding doing this kind of work here. It's going to be a great thing for the township.
Thank you very much. That's very nice to hear.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the buildings, they probably, like somebody said before, they don't have to be the same, like stone and stucco and, even other materials, clapboard, because that would bring the idea of the different village dwellings. And love the barn, in the back. That is really very nice, stunning.
Well, the concept is certainly exciting, TC, and appreciate you bringing it in and giving us a preview of what exciting things are to come. I think you can see Mrs. Hines in the background. I know it's since we're not going to vote on anything tonight, there's not really going to be an opportunity for public comment before it. But she did at one point mention the fact that according to the overlay and the original concept, there was a limitation to the amount of space that you can add to an existing structure, and this, I believe, exceeds it considerably, but maybe it's in a good cause. So, we should keep those lines of discussion open.
Oh, I'm in favor. I think it's really great. It looks awesome. I have always wanted to see the old guardhouse from Gladwin reproduced in Lower Makefield. However, one comment that I'm going to leave with the heart before I head out is that could you guys please see if you can get PennDOT to change that horrible traffic signal device in the middle of Edgewood Village? It's a historic village. It should have been given some special attention before that. And if this goes in, I really think that has to happen in terms of landscaping for the village, that we get that really hideous light taken out, and it looks more like, say, around the Keswick Theater in Glenside, something like that. That's just more suitable for a historic district. Awesome job. Good job. Keep going.
What can I do? John, you heard what is being suggested, and I think even I brought up a while ago the fact that there's a gigantic industrial size refrigerator across the street, diagonally across the street at the edge of that park as well. And that could have easily been put subterranean instead of sticking up there in the middle of, the intersection. But that's something for the traffic engineers to start talking about as what we could do as part of that. But consideration for another time, perhaps, John, if you'll keep it on your back burner.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been getting a lot of positive feedback, Mr. Troilo. I hope that's a Christmas gift.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Any further comments? Anything else we should be sharing with them? Anybody else? Jennifer, Kathleen?
I'm very excited about this. I think it looks really beautiful. And I mean, I hope the residents of Flowers Fields feel the same way. I think it would be a great addition.
Could you imagine the ability to just walk there and pick up dinner, or even like a dessert or a drink or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
That would be huge. What do you think about what would be north of the building? There's that open space that's not developed right now. Is there something planned for that or visually?
Yeah, there's a row of shops, a couple different pods of shops, stores that head up there towards the overpass. We're hoping that if we can get something going there, kind of activity follows activity. And if we can get our toehold in there and get something up and get some excitement and something going, that other people will follow.
Maybe they can skateboard over from the skate shop.
It could be a skating village rather than a walking village. Is that what you're saying?
Please make sure your stone is actually really rough, because you don't want kids skating on it.
Okay. Lupa, any last thoughts?
No, just thank you to everybody. Have a good holiday, Merry Christmas, and thank you to Mr. Troy. We really, I'm just super excited.
Me too.
This is going to be a big, like the jewel there in that Edgewood Village.
I agree.
Jeff, any final words?
No, I think it'd be a welcome addition to that village. And like CT was saying, I would hope to see other shops, follow suit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. John, if you can take this and pass it along as a report to the supervisors, maybe bring back some encouragement. We do what we can, right? Jim, any final words?
Only final word would be that we'll try to schedule another meeting for January. I'm not sure if we'll have anything on the agenda, but I'll send out some dates that are still left over, and we'll see if something comes up that we have a meeting, we'll have a meeting. And I'll send out dates for January and February, because we're trying to set our schedule to coincide with other meetings so that we don't have to pay as much money for the meetings.
No. Yeah. It'd be nice to be able to get back together again in person. We can all look forward to that. Okay. So without further ado, our thanks to you, Jim, first for handling the graphics and being here and taking care of the housekeeping duties. And thanks again for coming, Mr. Troilo. It's great to see you again, and best wishes for the holiday season, and same for everybody. So we can entertain a
thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr.
I'd like to
Troilo.
make a motion to adjourn.
I second
a
that.
second for that. Okay, Kathleen. All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good night and
Happy
thanks for-
holidays.
Bye.